Welcome to the Be More You podcast.
We're your hosts, Mon
and Stefan.
And this is a space where we want you to be more like you
and less like everyone else.
Enjoy this episode. Carlo! Welcome to the Be More You podcast.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming.
You're guest number 1 on season 2 of this podcast.
I'm honoured and excited.
We're excited
and
to
nervous.
have you.
What?
what are you going to ask me?
It's really funny because we never tell anybody that comes on this podcast what we're going to talk about. Everybody will be like, so what do you guys, what's the questions? What's the theme? And it's like, there is no theme. It is literally a conversation between mates. And the theme just generally unfolds as we go. So, yeah. But I will start off by saying you are a person that wears many hats. Like, you are a coach, literally. You're a coach. You've done so many incredible things in the past. I've been friends with you for about 5 years now, I think.
Yep.
We met through mutual friends, and I've just watched you grow and grow and grow. And you're going through a really epic phase now, which I'll get you to talk about later. But do you want to just give people that are listening and watching a bit about just you, what you do, why you love what you do, and we'll just go from there.
Yeah, whole life story in 2 minutes. Thank you for that intro. I think for me, who I am and what I do now it's that evolvement of so many things that have happened. Mm-hmm. And like you said, right now I'm at an exciting stage because a lot has come to an end, and I feel like I didn't expect those to happen this year amongst everything else that happened this year. And I've kind of been forced to think about things and reassess, okay, can I be okay without certain things that I thought I was and thought that I'd be doing for a long time, and now realign to, well, what does Carlo want to do? And what do I want to be moving forward? And it's be more you, what's more me? And I had to reconnect to that. So really fitting that I'm here with you guys talking about this. And I guess I was always I'm always just so passionate about helping people, and I guess a lot of people are. I did that through, and still do, through podcasting, through events, through community, through meditations, through all of these beautiful things that became a big part of who I was and the impact I was having. When a lot of that was taken away, I then started to question, well, was it all these things, or did they not align, or was it just a period in my life where this certain community had to end, or I had to kind of build from new again? And taking that time in that breakdown moment to think about that, I was like, no, I love all these things. I'm always going to be helping people. I'm always going to be mentoring or sharing a positive impact or an affirmation or a quote, whatever it may be. So now I find myself in the spot where it's do more of the things that I love. And it's all of these things. I want to run more programs, more courses, more meditations. I just am doing it through a different vehicle now. And I think when we have something for so long, we kind of go, well, who am I without that thing? And it's I'm all the things. I'm still all these things. Yeah. And I fell into all of them. I was never a speaker. I'm not a trained meditation teacher or coach or any of those things. I fell into them because I just followed what I was passionate about. And they led to one thing, which led to another, which led to, how we connect and meet people. I accidentally met you at I was modeling my wrist once upon a time. And then I accidentally met you at Cold and Conscious. It's just all these beautiful synchronicities. And the more I do the things that I love, the more I end up in the right places, meeting the right people. So, yeah.
It's crazy when you think about, I think about that a lot when people enter your life, and just how they enter and why they've entered, and sometimes it doesn't make sense at the time, but then time goes on and you're like, oh, okay, now I understand. So it's really cool that you said that, because we met on a photo shoot. Eric literally brought him to a photo shoot and was like, oh, this is Carlo, and Tom came as well. And ever since then, it's just been this constant support of each. We don't see each other all the time, but we're constantly supporting each other, and it's cool watching you move from one thing into another, because I feel I went through something similar as well with this business that was my entire identity.
Yeah.
and then moving away from that and being like, whoa, who am I when I don't have that? And I think like these last 2 years, that's what that shall not be named on this podcast.
Yeah.
Big C9 teen.
COVID-19.
Yeah. I hate saying it. It's so dumb. Anyway, but that's what it's taught people, is like everything gets taken away from you. So who are you, or who do you want to become when you're faced with so many challenges and obstacles and that? Because you've got the choice to always choose who you want to become in the next stage or the next phase of your life. So it's just been really cool watching you move through that, and I never see like things breaking down as a bad thing, because it's like, yeah, right now it sucks, but like just wait it out a little bit, because it's gonna serve its purpose.
Yeah, and I see that unfolding, and like I said before, it's all of these things that, yes, they were attached to a certain label or community, the vehicle of it, it's, again, I'm still going to be doing the things I love and being me. And I always look at this process of be, do, have. Having the community, having all these external things are always going to be a result of you being the person you want to be, doing the things that align with that, then they naturally fall into place. And for me, it's just the vehicle, the vision and the mission is the same, the vehicle just changes. And that's why it's like, whether I'm in Australia, international, or the label of the community is one thing or another, I'm still going to be doing these things because I love them. And if I look back through my life, everything I've done, from sport to business to different jobs, all of these things have those common values and traits, and that's why I literally do what I love and love what I do. And that's why I'm always so grateful, and I'm always so happy to be doing what I do, and that's why I enjoy it. Even when there was no monetary exchange and all of that, it was like, I love this because I'm passionate about it, and that's a fulfilling life to me. Just so happens I get paid for it as well now, which is really good. Yeah.
I really like that, like the different vehicles because I always used to get really confused, because I enjoy doing lots of different things, like I really do, and it was seen to be a bad thing for such a long time, because people that I would do, like in the old band, for example, if I was seen to be doing other things, it's like, why the fuck aren't you spending all your time doing this? It's like, well, I really like doing this as well. And then I started to learn it's like teaching, as an example. I love holding that space for people to explore themselves, and for people to maybe learn something a little bit different about themselves, and to connect with larger groups of people at once, individually. And I think that's exactly the same as why I love songwriting, because you have one song can be taken a billion different ways. It's infinite, actually, and it's going to change as your life goes on. But it's like, you do that one thing in the same place collectively, the same as teaching, movement, the same as like even like Cold and Conscious, being down at the waterfront, meditating. It's like the same one thing, everybody having a completely different experience. Yeah. And I think it took me a long time to learn that about myself. I was like, oh, it's the same thing that you love. That's why you're there. Yeah. It's not different. You're not running away from something else. Yeah. It's just a different vehicle. Yeah. It's fucking sick. I really like that. That's a really good way to explain it.
Because if not, we think it has to be this one thing for the rest of our life.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's where people do get stuck into. The norm is do that one thing for 30, 40 years and be happy with it. But if you don't enjoy it, bad luck. You've just got to stay in it. And if you leave it, there's the, whether you be accepted, rejected, or, the fear of the unknown. What am I going to do? Who am I if I don't have this thing that keeps me so secure? But in everything that I teach, my programs, my processes is all about connecting back into who you are. Because if you have that and you're not reliant on something else, whether it's a company, a community, or a person, you will be okay regardless of what changes around you. And as you just said before, life is changing every day, and there's stuff happening that we can't control. So even more importantly, we need to connect back into who we really are, so that we can be more of ourselves, regardless of the vehicle or where we are setting wise.
That's it. It's hard though. It's like you can leave now.
So let's put out 11 minutes.
No, but you are absolutely right. And I think that becomes really hard when everything just gets muddled into one, and you're just like kind of going with the flow of everything without taking a pause and going, hang on, is this thing that I'm doing still serving the life that I want in the future? If the answer is no, why the fuck are you doing it? Because it's easy, okay. because it's comfortable, okay, but that security and comfort, it stunts your growth. You don't grow in comfort zones. You don't grow with security as such. Like, it's when you step out and go, all right, I need to do something different. I need to try something new. I need to meet new people. I need to, whatever it might be, that's where the growth happens, because that's where the uncertainty lies, and that's where you're forced to just level up and find this new version of yourself. And that's where the choices come in. It's like, okay, this situation sucks, or this is really difficult right now, but who am I going to choose to be in this moment right now? Because I can choose to step back. But is that going to benefit me in the long run? Probably not. I'm just going to keep being in that wheel of like sameness. Sameness is boring. We get bored really easily, but the narrative that starts going off in our head is, oh, but I've committed all this time to doing stuff. I get so many young people, like 17 to like 22-year-olds that come into my inbox all the time, uni being the one thing. Like, I'm doing this course, but I don't think it's what I want to do. You literally just answered your own question.
Yeah.
Oh, but I've committed to 4 years of doing this thing. Cool. Do you want to commit another 30 to doing something that you fucking hate, that you know now is not the right thing for you? If that's the case, okay.
Yeah.
But you know now. Like, save yourself the 30 years. Yeah. Like, don't do it. Go find something else. You might try 3 other things, and they might not be the thing. But you've then tried 3 things you know absolutely are certain things you don't want to do. You've saved yourself time in the long run. So if you view it from that way, and I mean, everything is perspective. It's just the way you look at something. I don't think anything's ever really bad or good. It's just neutral, and it's how you come in and where you want to see it. I refuse to look at things as like negative these days, because I'm like, it doesn't serve me. Like, you can go through the motions and it can suck and you can, whatever. But I think too many things have happened in my life, particularly over the last 5 years, where every bad thing, I've just noticed the good that's come out of it. So I'm like, was it really a bad thing? I don't know. Like, because in hindsight, it turned out great. I turned out better. I can't be mad at that. Like, that's just life. That's the whole point of it, right?
There's like the lessons in everything, especially this year. Like, even in those quote unquote worst moments, there's always lessons in it. I love the quote where it says, life will give you people or situations to show you or reflect to you the areas you need growth.
Yeah.
And, can you sit with this? Can you be uncomfortable but be okay with that uncomfortability? Can you be okay with having to change what you do in order to keep aligning to who you are?
Yeah.
And that's where those difficult situations come in. Like, was it easy to let go of something I built for 3 years? No. But I had to align with what's true to me. And I have this process, and I just realized just now that being you is kind of the last step of it. But through that process, it's accepting, forgiving, loving, finding, and then being. And in that process, it's like, if we can connect to that, again, anything we step into, any situation that comes up, if we know who we are, we can be who we are. And when we don't question who we are or who we're being, especially when other people start to question us or when things around us start to collapse. And that's what I had to do. It's been difficult. I'm not going to sit here and be like, this is fun. No, I look back and go, yeah, that was great. But during it has not been fun.
Yeah.
But I think that was so vital in me showing myself, can you align with what's important to you? Your mission? Are you actually true to this? And what you were saying before, the big thing in there is like that healthy balance between, are you doing something you don't like? Cool. You can stop that. You should probably do something else. Or is it something you want to do, but it's going to take longer than you think, and you have to just stay with it for a bit to, compound that effort and that growth. That's where knowing and being who you really are or truly are is important, because that makes that decision not so much easier, but it aligns a lot easier.
And I think a good indicator for when that happens, and I say this to people all the time, I'm like, what inspires you versus where do you seek motivation? Because if you are constantly trying to seek motivation to do something, I'd be questioning, is that the thing you really want to be doing? Because when you follow the things that I had this conversation with someone today, because they were like, you just do too much, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, but the stuff that I do really inspires me. Yeah. It's fuel for me. Like, yes, I do a lot, but it literally inspires me to the point where I never feel motivated to have to do the things that I'm doing, because I just do them. And when I start feeling like I have to motivate myself, like, Obviously, motivation is going to be required when you have to meet deadlines and stuff like that. I understand that. But I'm talking more the motivation where it's like, I have to do this thing. Why?
Yeah.
Just question it. I'm not saying you have to have an answer, but really question in those moments where you are like digging in the barrel to try and find motivation to go and do something, to go and see somebody. Like, why do you feel like you have to be fucking digging tooth and nails to go and do that thing? If it's the right thing, should it really be that difficult? I don't know. For me, not myself personally, my own experiences, the second I feel like that, I will literally pull myself up and be like, hold on, why? Like, why does it feel like that? When I stop feeling inspired by stuff, generally, 9 times out of 10, the thing that I'm doing or the person I'm speaking to doesn't inspire me anymore to be a better version of myself. Therefore, I'm not going to give my time and energy to that thing or to that person if it no longer serves me. And I think we get really caught up. I know I definitely do, because it's that people-pleasing thing that comes into play. Like, I feel like I have to please everybody to make sure everybody else is okay. Therefore, I end up doing it all for everybody else. And it's like, what about me? Am I doing this for me still? If the answer is no, why the fuck am I doing it? Because I'm not getting anything out of it anymore.
Yeah.
So it's a very interesting, that topic always like really interests me, because all it requires is to keep asking why till you get to that point where it's so uncomfortable. We run away when it gets to that point. But that's the point. That's where you've got to like dig even further, because that is where the underlying surface stuff that you have to get to is actually sitting.
Yeah.
But it's really uncomfortable, and we're just like, I don't want to feel that anymore. I'm just going to walk away. But it's like, no, turn back and go and sort it out.
Yeah. I remember this process of one of my mentors taking me through is the 7 layers why deep as to what you're doing. I think it might have been Dean Graciosi. And yeah, because the first ones are all quite similar. I want to help people. I've been through that before. I want to share it. But when you start getting to the 7th one, if you really think about it and answer it properly, you connect to what really matters for you, why it's important for you. And that's what keeps me driven. That's what keeps me showing up on social media. That's why I know the mission that I've got is so important, and why I don't ever feel like I'm ever going to give up on it, because it always has that importance in my life. And that's why I show up. That's why I'll keep trying. Even if one thing fails, which many have, 30 different jobs, 8 different businesses, I'm still here. I'm still here for it. I'm only just starting. Like, it's only just, as you know from my story, and probably you might know a little bit, I've done a lot, but it's only just beginning. Like, I feel like it's like first chapter's ended. Good job, first quarter of the game. You're on to the next one now. Maybe, sorry, that was the warm-up. We haven't even started the game. The whistle hasn't even blown yet. And I think a lot of us look at our age and go, it's too late, I can't. And I go, nah, no way. Even if you're 50s, 60s, you're still at halftime. Like, there's still plenty of time left. Someone said it the other day, it might have even been you. Life is short, but life is long as well. So for me, it's like, there is time to do things, but there's also not time to kind of sit around and be like, is it going to be hard? Is it uncomfortable? No, step into that and start doing it, because that's what enjoyment and fulfillment is for me.
Well, it's funny because, like, with the age thing, I think it was when Steve was on. It's something that I'd always, when I was 18, I was too old. Really? When I was 20, I was too, well, all my favourite musicians were like teenagers when I'd be like,
and they made it.
Yeah, and I was like, they've already gone. Then 20, way too old. 23, fuck man, why even trying? 25, it's a big risk, but you should keep going. 27, it wasn't until like 29 that I went, fuck, you're so young, dude.
Yeah.
You've got so long, and I feel like I've already said this before, but one of my friends in Melbourne, his band, they're doing really, really well. They're called Gold Mines. They're fucking rad. Check them out. Yeah. Everyone check them out. But they, he said something. He's 35, I think, and he said, he wrote that very thing on a Facebook status like 6 months ago, and I was like, he's like, when I was 21, I was too old. When I was 25, I was too old. Like, just went up, and then he's like, you're not too old. He just had a kid now, and they're fucking killing it. And, but I do think now, like, I don't think that was ever a thing. Yeah. I don't think the age thing was ever a thing. However, even though it felt like it wasn't, that mindset was ingrained in society of the age gaps and the differences, now more than ever is it not a thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, all right, it wasn't before, but now, fuck, you could be 50 and fucking You could be 60, you could be 70. My dad just started playing trumpet again. He's 61. He hasn't played for 30 years. He's playing on my album in January, which is sick. And he's like been playing every day. And I'm like, you could live for another 40 years. It's 40% of your life. What the fuck? Like, I'm like, you love music more than anybody. Why don't you play more? And I'm like, it's funny. I said to Shembri when we were walking this morning, I go, oh, why haven't you played? Like I said to him about him not playing, and he's like, yeah, well, I mean, you had to marry your mum, and then you had to have 3 kids, and then you had to work, and I was like, all right. Maybe there was a little bit more. Yeah. But I was like, it was just funny. But it's like the simplest things can be started at any point. I have heaps of people say to me, the two, Ray and, what's that other woman's name? Claudia and Ray, these 2 South American women that come to one of my yoga classes. I broke a nail 2 weeks ago, my thumbnail. And
it was the end of the world.
It was fucked up, man. Because I play guitar with my right hand, and thought I needed my fingernails. I actually don't. I think the progression of me getting better at guitar. This is going to go on a tangent. The progression of me getting better at guitar and my nails happened at the same time. Anyway, I went in to get it fixed. Ended up getting SNS on both my. Have you ever had SNS? Nah, don't do it, dude. It's really weird, strange. Anyway, nails to fix it. Ended up getting over it. It was fucked. I was talking to these 2 women at yoga.
I'm glad I chew my nails.
This is the commentary. Yep. So the 2 ladies at yoga.
So two women at yoga. I was talking to them about they used to play flamenco guitar, so like really beautiful fingerpick guitar. And they got talking. I was talking to them about me playing guitar. They got talking. They walked off. And they're like, "You've inspired us. We're starting next year to play." And I was like, "Fuck yeah! Like, why would if you love it that much? Why wouldn't you?" But I think it is like you said. It's that age thing that happens with everybody and everything, and I think it's broken now, which is good. Like, it's done. It's not, but it's starting to be. Like, you got 80-year-olds skateboarding. Like, that's one of my life goals, to be still skateboarding at 80. Yeah. I'm happy if I can bomb a hill and be 80 years old. You know? But it's cool, a cool time to be alive. Like, Dad's dad died when he was 60, and Dad's 61 now. Yeah. So it was a really weird thing for him, getting older than that. He's like, 60 was the end of somebody's life 30 years ago.
Yeah. I also think it's like these days with this generation that's up and coming, even our generation, like the definition of success is shifting.
Yes.
Like the normal success route was, going to uni, getting a job, having a family, getting married, all by the age of 25. Like, you are a success in society's eyes if you've hit the nail on the head with all those things. Now it's like that timeline's getting pushed back even further because people are more focused on their careers. They want to make something of themselves. They want to, whatever it might be, that it's almost getting pushed back, that the times don't matter when you start anymore, because it's like, well, you've got people who are becoming actors at 72 and they're winning awards and stuff. You've got musicians starting at 30 because they had to go through all that shit in their 20s. Like, your 20s are like the most valuable years of your life. The second I turned 23, I realized, like, these are my foundational years. Like, if I actually want to set myself up for success, I need to fucking fail and fail fast in every area of my life during my 20s, because no one's going to yell at me. I'm in my 20s. Who's going to yell at a 23-year-old for fucking up their life? No one. 33? Yeah, people are going to start questioning you, but fuck it. But the whole trial and error during these years, which is what I say to all those young kids that keep coming into my inbox, is like, fail and fail fast. Try 50 different things. And then when you finish those 50 things, if you're still 25, find another 50 things to try and fuck up. Yeah. Like, because imagine getting to your 30s, you've done 100 things that you absolutely for sure know you don't want to do in your 30s. You're not going to waste your 30s now with this added stress level of, oh, I'm getting old. You can actually use those years to, like, figure out what you actually want. And there's nothing wrong with that. But there's also nothing wrong with being 21 and being absolutely certain that you want to go and be a lawyer. Yeah. Like, there's not. If that is your truth, if that is what you want to do, amazing. You're one of the lucky ones that knows very, very, very early on that that's what you want to do for the rest of your life. Like, sick. But I just think overall, the idea of success is just, that's shifting for a lot of people, because, it's not so much about making millions of dollars to buy shit you don't need. It's like, well, what does happiness mean to me? What does freedom feel like to me? What does love mean to me? Which is why A Year to Live, like the YouTube series that we're doing next year, is so critical, because it's asking people that question. Like, if you knew you had a year to live, what would you do? Who would you want to be? What would you want to become of yourself? What legacy do you want to leave behind?
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. It's my whole.
He's a
I thought you were still ramping up.
I was like, anyone gonna jump in here?
Yeah, it's my whole life motto of just make the most of it.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Like, why not try things? Why not start at 30 or 60 or whatever like that? That inspires me because it's like I just naturally want to do so many things.
Yeah.
I also get caught up in the limiting beliefs, which what we were talking about before about age and all of that. Yeah, those are the things we kind of have to reframe and shift our perspective on, because I remember even with soccer or anything that I went through, and I was asked this recently, like, what kept you going even when all these hurdles come up? I was like, I've read that many books, personal development, that people that have had this problem and worked through it. Countless examples of people that have started at 50 and created the life they wanted to live. It goes back for me is be, do, have. If you want to have that lifestyle that you want to create or that version of success, it starts with the being. And that's why I love this. The being is what is your truth. My purpose, I believe, purpose is to live, have fun, and evolve. But that directional purpose is to help people connect back into who they really are, which is their heart, which is their truth, which is love. If you're operating from that space, there is no pressure of you have to do X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
It's if you come from that place, now naturally do things that interest you, that feel good to you. And when you do that, you're naturally just going to be led down this path of having the life you want to create. Because you can start at not knowing who you are, have this perfect plan out in front of you, as you were saying before, and as I kind of went down with soccer, this perfect plan of if you do this for so many years, you go overseas, did that, stay there for 10 years, you'll have money, success, fame. I didn't feel any of that, and I didn't want any of that.
Yeah.
So when I got there, it was like, I'm actually okay with changing this right now. And again, one of the hardest things I had to choose to do, but in the end, the best things that I did, because look where I am now. And I say that at another rock bottom or identity crisis that I've had recently. But again, I'm grateful for life. I'm not looking back going, it should have been different.
Yeah.
Everything that happened was exactly what was supposed to happen. I can't change that. I'm grateful for where I am now. And the fact that I'm 27, I'm like, geez, I've still got so much more life to live.
That's
and
it.
even if I had 1 year left to live, what would I do? You asked me that, and I'm like, I'd do exactly what I'm doing, but do more of it.
Yeah.
That's it. It's funny with that question. I just love asking people that question because they'll be like, oh, I don't know. And I'm like, okay. And then you'll get people that are like, oh, I'm kind of doing it. And I'm like, that's it.
Yeah.
Like, if there was ever going to be a right answer, I think that would be it. If you're already living the thing that you would do if you had a year to live, how fucking lucky are you to be doing that? And if you want to, like you said, do more of that, even better. You've hit the jackpot. Like, you don't have to do anything more or different. Like, you're actually being and doing the things that bring you that joy or that love or that whatever.
Yeah.
And in the process of it, if it's also helping and inspiring other people, like, that to me, in my eyes, is success. Because you're living your truth every single day.
Yeah. And it's going to look different for everyone.
That's it.
Yeah.
You do a lot of things. Yeah.
Nah.
Well, Mon said at the start, I'm always like, we didn't meet each other very long ago.
No.
And then I always see your things pop up. I'm like, fucking, what's Carlo doing now? Can you just, because like, you've got like the online thing that you do that you're speaking on Wednesday. Can you explain exactly like what that is? Like you're doing Cold and Conscious now in Altona, like how that is.
What are the hats that Carlo Cirillo wears?
A grey.
Well, there's all the things that I do hats. So podcast, which is the Conscious Podcast, which is about to be which is about to shift into a new name, new branding. Meditations, which I run online, but also do for corporate and events. Then it's all facilitating, so that's Cold and Conscious, community building, all that sort of stuff, and host many events. We used to, and now we can again, so that's exciting. And then also on top of that, like I'm a mentor. I say I'm a clarity and a mindset mentor, like helping people find that clarity so they can know who they are, connect to who they are, and live the life they want to live, with all the mindset sort of processes in between, because it's always those hurdles in terms of our mindset along that journey. So the program that I run, I've been running for 3 years, is the Conscious Blueprint. We've had over 100 people come through. We've done 10 program series. And yeah, honoured to have Mon come in. And she comes in week 8 to give everyone a kick up the arse, to take action. And like I said before, it is going through that process of acceptance, forgiveness, love, finding who you are, and then being who you are. It's, you know, I've had people that are 18 all the way up to 50 join the program, men and women. And it, again, it's helping people connect back into who they really are, so that they can feel that connection to who they are, have clarity on what they want and who they want to be, and then also have the confidence to go do that and have that support. And I feel like I've always played that role, whether it was in soccer or at school. I was the person people could come to, and I had some sort of direction and vision for them, or I just asked good questions. Never sit here going, I have all the answers, but I can ask you a question because you have the answer within you, and my role is to help you find that, but also be that, I guess, that support there as well, to actually see you, listen to you, but also hear the bullshit that you're saying behind what you say. And reflect that back to you, so that you can realize that, hey, okay, that's what's coming up for me. So they're those hats, as well as, you know, being a 27-year-old, that's a hat. Being a, you know, a male in Melbourne with so much ambition, that's a hat. Being a partner, I have a beautiful girlfriend. We've been together 1.5 years. That's another hat that I wear as well. Yeah, I love all the hats.
Just a human that's being.
Yeah, just doing all the things.
And how do you come up, like the course that you do, is that like, as you said, you're not trained in it, was that just trial and error for you in your own life, and then you just like, hey, this works really well for me?
Yeah.
That's sick.
Yeah.
At what point were you just like, actually, I'm gonna give this to everyone?
Yeah. It was a 2-year process of going through those ups and downs that we all go through, of like, I don't know who I am. I had jumped from thing to thing, not through passion and purpose. It was through, I want to find myself, and is me in something else? Is it in a different community? Is it in a different job? And I was like, hang on, I feel the same through all of them. This isn't working. Then it was going through, like, there was a lot that I was holding on to that was blocking me from connecting with myself. I didn't know what I wanted, and I always kept ending up in this cycle of being, whether it was broke and back on mum and dad's couch, you know, that was my safe spot. Of I could always go home. So I trial and errored a lot, but it was also like, this is frustrating. I actually want to have some sort of clarity on what I want to do, so that I can have direction in my life. And then it was the confidence. I didn't like who I was. I didn't love who I was. Self-love's the big thing now, and I love it. I'm, you know, self-care, self-love, all of that. But it's all good to say it, but actually feeling it's a whole. I was doing all the things. I would meditate. I had mentors, but it was like, for me, a 2-year journey of, I keep going back to it, acceptance, forgiveness, and love. Like, there was so much that I was holding on to that I didn't accept about myself, that I was heavy on me, and that I didn't love. So once I went through that process, and it was retreats, it was, you know, my own sort of manifestation journey, but then also that discovery and asking myself really good questions and sitting with it and answering it, not trying to go to someone else for the answers, finding it within. Then I was like, oh, I think a lot of people could benefit from this too. And a lot of people were naturally asking, how did you, you know, in 2 years discover that? And I was like, okay, maybe I can break this down into 6 or 8 weeks for people. Trialed the process, again, didn't have any experience or training in those areas. But for me, it was like, this feels good. And I did it knowing that it could fail, and it could, you know, if it didn't work, it didn't work. I'd be like, that's okay. But I did it, and it worked so well that, yeah, now we have over 100 people that have done it. So, yeah, it's special because I get to collaborate with people I love that inspire me, like Mon, but also it's nothing groundbreaking. But it's sort of that foundational process to, again, that connection and clarity within.
Well, it's all from experience and from your strengths as well. I think that's really interesting because there's so much information now, and people do create so many courses, which is nothing wrong with that. But it's like, there's always, everyone's like, saturated, or this is saturated, that's it. I'm like, no, but truth cuts through bullshit, always. So it's like, if it's like truly aligned with you and truly from your experience, it's like it worked on me first.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, what higher or greater truth could there possibly be?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've lived it. That's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
And did the podcast come after that or before that?
Before that. So the podcast started 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And that was just a mixture of listening to a podcast and then listening to their process of like, write down all the things that you love doing, that you're passionate about, you have an interest in. Second column is all the things you're naturally good at or you enjoy doing. And then find a way to combine some of those together to then serve other people. Yes. And for me, it was like, I knew what I loved was listening to podcasts. I loved having conversations with people. I loved learning.
Yes.
I knew that I was naturally good at having coffee with someone and becoming their best friend. Like, because I just listened. Like, I cared about them. But also, I was so intrigued in people's stories.
Yes.
And then I was like, well, why don't I do both of those things and start a podcast? And now, again, like 150 episodes later, 4 years later, I've gotten to interview incredible people like Mon. But then also some of my all-time, influential people like John DeMartini, Dr. Dane Here, Joel Brown, all these people I really looked up to, I got to share in that moment with them in that conversation.
Yes.
And now I've built some, again, our friendship. Oh, we had a friendship beforehand, but every time I do that, it just expands from there. And each one of those conversations led to a new connection, a new community, and everything just naturally grew from there. But the process was, going back to what we were talking about before, it was never to make money, and I didn't know where I wanted it to go. I was just like, I'll do this until I don't love it anymore, and if it has to change, I'll change or not do it. It wasn't like I have to be a podcaster for the rest of my life.
That's it.
Yeah.
And that's where I went. It gave me a lot of freedom. I did have some structure of like, Monday releasing, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I changed it. A lot of it evolved, and now it's more free flowing. It's more natural, all of that. But from me doing what I loved, what I'm good at, and just using that to serve the world, I got to impact a lot of people. I think the downloads are over 100,000 in all those episodes. But in that process, it just led to, I'll share a meditation because I love holding space, and I've listened to so many meditations, I can hold one.
Yes.
Did it. It ended up being at a live audience with 100 people, was really impactful. People were crying, and I was like, okay, there's something in here.
Yep.
I like doing this. I'm going to keep doing this. Which then led to all these people going, hey, you've got answers and you look like you got your shit together. You're doing something you love. Can you help me? And I was like, okay, well, I'll mentor you. I'll show you this process. And that's where the program was like, how can I make this even more accessible instead of this me one-to-one, which I love, but how can I make it, that experience for them? Yeah. And everything just naturally flowed from there. And whenever I stopped doing those things that I loved and I was passionate about and focused too much on what it needed to look like or the money side of things, that's when I got distracted from me and from that purpose, passion and fulfillment and that vision and mission that I had or have.
Yes.
So whenever I feel those pulls, it's like, you can make money doing what you love. I think that's the biggest kind of success, is doing what you love, but also being rewarded for it. But for me, it was never the pressure of, if I made no money from all these things that I did, I'd still do them because I love them.
How interesting do you think that how much it can throw you out of line when your expectation shifts of something?
Yeah.
Like, especially when it's monetized. Like, I noticed everything I've ever tried to do, if it's been focused on money. Like, I put out my cover 2 days ago. I'm doing a cover each week with music purely because I'm like, I want to get better at songwriting.
Yeah.
I hate singing other people's covers purely because I'm fucking terrified of it, because I have this weird... I'm very good at hearing something or seeing something and doing that thing the way it was done as I watch it. Like, that's how I learn. I learn much better if it's me and you one-on-one and you're showing me something. I will get it very, very quickly. If I'm reading online, it'll take me 100 times longer. I've just learned that about myself this year. But so with covers and things, I'll hear it a certain way and then I'll slip out of myself some time and sing it the same way as that person was singing it, rather than how would Stefan sing it. Yeah. So I didn't realize that was how I felt really uncomfortable about this certain thing. So I'm like, I need to do it each week because I want to do it each week. I want to learn. Like, I just love music. dude, I've never been more happy. 2 people listened to it, right? Like, it was like in the first like hour or two, it was like 2 people. I was like, oh my God, I could cry. And I was like, holy fucking shit, you're like only doing this for you.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just love doing this for the sake of doing it. And I realized, well, I knew this anyway with music that I'd released in the past. I had so much expectation to get to a certain thing that it was so unauthentic to me. And actually feeling what that feels like now with the album that I'm recording and the processes that I'm going through surrounding that, being just playing music each week. Without that, to actually, it's so easy to be like, I don't have any expectation. Bullshit.
No,
Most of the time it's like, yes you do, and that's okay. You can do that, but it's probably altering your idea of what that thing's going to be, and it might not be as true as authentic to you.
Yeah.
But it was only 2 days ago, I was like, oh my God, this is actually, for this thing that has been mushed up my entire life, I was like, this is what it actually feels like. Yeah. For real now. And it just blew my fucking mind. So hearing you talking about everything that you just said, and the not for money thing, I thought I understood it, but I don't think I ever actually truly understood it. Because especially if it's things from when you're a kid as well, so much gets entangled in it.
Yeah.
So much.
Yeah.
I didn't realise how much I just wanted like me and Dad to bond because likes to play music together. Do you know what I mean? Or like different things like that. I'm like, no, it's fine. I'm just doing it because I love it. Again, bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, but there's no way you could know
until
you work through all of the layers you didn't know existed.
And I think that distracts us. Like, especially when I was playing soccer, it was about the money, the fame. It was, I want to be David Beckham.
Yeah.
But that's not a strong enough why to keep you going.
No.
Like, literally, like, money is everywhere. And there was a quote I seen last night, is like, you have natural skills that could make you a millionaire.
Yeah.
That you're not showing because you think, oh, what if someone doesn't like it?
Yes.
Or what if someone doesn't connect with it? When I do meditations now online, during COVID, like, I wasn't getting paid for it. Like, I just wanted to do them on Instagram.
Yeah.
Whether there was 8 people, one time there was 6,000.
Wow.
And that was in a collaboration with the crystal business. And I went, I'm sitting there trying not to freak out while seeing this number go up to 6,000.
Yeah.
Right? And they have like 200,000 followers, so naturally. And for me, it's like, I didn't get paid for that.
No, but you love doing it.
Again, I love doing it. And all these events that I have done, I do a lot of charity work, and a lot of the stuff I do behind the scenes does not get paid for.
Yes.
But it doesn't mean I'm not going to do it.
No.
Because let's say there was no money, let's say money wasn't a thing, what would you be doing with your life? And that goes back to the whole, what would you do if you had 1 year left to live? And for me, it's like, I'd still do all the things that I'm doing right now because I love them.
Yes.
And this is where it doesn't distract me from, you know, the pressure of I need to sell this many people into the well, it doesn't feel like selling because people want and need this. It's that there's no pressure on me when I release a program or when I do a meditation. Now people are offering, hey, can you come in and speak for our company or do a meditation? We'll pay you. Awesome. I'm going to say yes.
Cool, I was going to do it anyway.
Yeah. But exactly. But it's like, I love doing this. Like,
I think it's really cool when you, like, just hearing you both speak, it's really, really cool when you become your own source of inspiration.
Yeah.
Like, when you actually find that why and it's so clear to you, like 2 views on a cover that you were petrified to do. Yeah. Like, you just inspired yourself to keep doing it.
I was like running around the house and shit.
Yeah.
How happy I was. Just like, oh my God, I did it.
But that perspective is important because most people, I would say, would go, 2 views, fuck, that wasn't worth it. I'm not going to do this ever again.
Yeah.
Dude, I've been like that with every other thing I've ever released. That's why it was so crazy to watch it, because I didn't think, I was just in the middle of everything and just doing it, and I was like, I was so happy, and I caught myself being that happy, and I was like, this is what it actually feels like.
Yeah.
I was like, this feels really good.
Yeah. And see, like, that excitement and that joy is like what's going to keep you doing it week after week. 2 views will move to 16 will move to 45 will move to, because you keep showing up for yourself. That's why it's so critical, like we were talking before, that whole thing about like, I'm doing this for me and nobody else, because if you're not doing it for you and you're doing it for other people, that's where you start seeking motivation, because you're like, fuck, I have to do this thing for this other person.
Yeah.
Not, I'm just inspired to do this because it's for me.
Yeah.
And if it continues to be for me, everybody around me benefits.
Yeah.
Because I get to show up as myself, for myself. That's a win-win for everybody involved.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And especially on a music note, my big inspiration was seeing Tones and I play live 4 years ago, busking on the street in Byron Bay.
No
And
shit.
I have friends that used to go see her every like weekend and I bought her CD album, right, when it was like a paper one, and I'm like, this is really cool. And I remember having it in my old car. My brother has it now. And I remembered when I went back mid-year, I kind of opened his glove box and I seen it and I was like, whoa, this is when she was just on the street.
Yes.
4 years later, now she's global. Her songs are on
You
movies.
literally can't get away from her.
Yeah, and it's like, she just did what she loved. Even if, because we were, like, there was a big crowd there though. They loved, because she enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there was times when no one was there. I remember being in network marketing and my mum and my sister were the only ones that showed up to the events. I still presented.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I was like, I'm going to do this. And if I keep doing it, one, I'll get better and better at it.
Yes.
But two, I'll build a skill. And then that can be transferable to anything I want to do.
That's it.
That's why it's like the mission and vision stays the same. The vehicle changes. Bring your skills and up-level your skills to take into those different things. Because life is going to change whether we like it or not.
Yeah. And it'll test and retest you time and time again until it's like, have you learnt yet? Because you've been here before. It just looks different.
Yeah. Have you learnt, and can you be in alignment with your values and your truth? What's that why for you, even when you're given all the opportunities or none of the opportunities?
And that's, I think, where that whole choice of who you're stepping into becoming in that moment, because it's very easy going back to like 2 views to be like, well, I'm just going to give up because like 2 people watched this video.
Yeah.
Or you're the person who's like, if I stop right now, I'm not showing up for myself.
Yeah.
Which
Or if
means,
I don't start now.
Yeah. Which means the next time this happens and I'm presented with an opportunity where I get to go towards something I want to do, like, I'm either going to step into those 2 roles, the person who doesn't back themselves or the person that goes, well, just going to do it because it's true to me. It's what I love. It's my passion. It's my why. And eventually, the more you continue to do that, the confidence builds because it's not for anybody else. It's for you. Like, I look at my YouTube channel. When I started, there was only like 5 people watching it. My mum, 3 of her friends, and maybe one other person. Like,
and your views, like from
and mine from when I uploaded, I'd watch it to see if it was like all good.
Oh, I'd jump on my computer, then jump on another
Yeah,
laptop
yeah.
get the views up.
And then like, there's one video that's got almost 500,000 views. That's 500,000 people. That's a country.
Yeah.
That have watched one video.
Yeah.
That's how I see it now. I remember somebody
And
actually said to me,
it wasn't the first video you put out, was it?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It was probably, I don't know, maybe like the 20-somethingth.
Yeah.
And it was almost by chance because I just timed it well, pretty much. But I remember somebody saying to me like, oh, how many subscribers do you have? And I was like, oh, at the time I was like, oh, I've only got like, I don't know, something like 1.5k. And he's like, that's a lot. And I was like, yeah, like it's more than 500, yeah. He's like, that would feel like an auditorium. And I was like, oh. He's like, 1,500 people follow you. They've subscribed to you. And when he said that, I was like, oh, shit. Like, yeah, 600 views is like literally a gymnasium of people speaking to. You are speaking to.
That's a big gymnasium.
That's a very big one.
Yeah.
Perspective shift.
Yeah.
Very good.
But when I started it, and I remember saying this to myself, there were 3 things. There was, Mon, if you're going to do this, you've got to show up every single week. I don't fucking care what happens during the week. I don't care what tragedy happens. You're going to do this. Because I backed out of everything I wanted to do up until that point. So I was like, if you want to start somewhere, start here and keep going for an entire year. Don't miss a week. Promise yourself that. Then it was, now I've just forgotten the last.
Yeah, make a commitment.
That's it. Commit to it and keep it consistent. Because the consistency is what's going to build the foundation of confidence. Because by that point, I had confidence, but this meant a lot to me, and I don't think I realized how much it meant. And as it went on, I realized it meant so much to me because it's all I wanted to do when I was a kid. So it was like, I don't want to fail at this because this is my one thing right now. Like, I really want to make this happen. And this other thing was, as soon as I'd hit upload, the fact that I'd shown up for that week and I kept the promise to myself, that was enough for me.
Yeah.
After I hit upload, I was like, I don't care if 5 people watch this or 400 people watch this. I did the thing. I made the promise to myself. I showed, that's it.
Yeah.
So it was like after hitting upload, it didn't matter. I was grateful when 5 people would watch it. I was grateful when 1,000 people would watch a video. Like, super, super grateful. And I made that known. But at the same time, I was like, I don't care. Because it's not for anybody else. It's for me to get my point across, or for me to tell a story, or for me to just verbalize something. It's for me before anybody else.
Yeah. Hold the vision, trust the process.
That's
and the process is that there's going to be the ups and downs of life and the journey of anything that we're starting.
Yeah.
We only get lost in comparison.
That's
if I'm
it.
comparing my income, my Instagram following to someone else, especially if they have more, of course it's going to make me feel like shit. Don't do that. Don't. If I look at someone that makes double what I make, it's not going to make me feel happy. It's going to be like, oh, how come I'm not worthy of that? No, it's like I get inspired by that and go,
Yes.
if they can, I can too.
That's the possibility of it.
Yes.
That's where I can go.
Yes.
But I've got to do the work.
Yeah. And it's like, we're 27, you're 30. Like, if someone's watching this at 40 and they go, oh, again, going back to the old thing, I'm too old. When I was that age, I wasn't doing what I like. Okay, but you're comparing. Do your thing.
Do it now.
At whatever timeline is yours. It's going to take us all different times. Just like
for you.
that one video that someone posts on TikTok could go viral, but it also couldn't.
Yeah.
Yes, timing, metrics, analytics play into these things, but again, if you're doing what you love, you'll show up for it. And you'll do it regardless of if it takes a year, 10 years. If it took me 10, like again, it has taken me, since I was 17 doing network marketing to get where I am, 10 years to get where I am now. To be paid to be a speaker. I knew I wanted to be speaking and to hold space and all of that. Now, people approach me and go, can you speak for us? Here's an offer. That's pretty cool. Like, always wanted that. I looked at Tony Robbins and was like, that's what I want to be doing. Now it's happening. But 10 years wasn't smooth sailing all the way up. No, it was broke a lot of times. It was investing in myself. It was trying new things. It was failing a lot. But then also having to refine myself and reconnect back into that vision.
For sure.
I'm sure for music it would be the same.
Yeah, it has been. I have it's so funny, Mon and I were talking about the other day about investing, the fear of investing in yourself, and mine was versus the, for me, I've put every cent my entire life into it. It was either into drugs or music, to be honest, for a very, very long time. That was it. It was incredible. I was earning lots of money and it was just throwing at it. So it's for me, I'm not afraid to invest in this thing. It's the things that don't cost anything that I don't want to do, that I'm afraid of doing, because those are the things that really show my skill level, my commitment levels. They're the things that really make me open and vulnerable. That's the shit that I have trouble with. That's the real groundwork that I'll just earn more money so I can throw it at it. So no, that's easy for me. I'll go broke doing that, happily. It's the things that don't cost anything. So it's and with music, absolutely. I've been playing music since I was 6, I think I started playing piano. I played trumpet. I remember sitting in Geelong College trumpet band, concert band. I was playing trumpet, looking at the drummer and the bass player. I was like, fuck, I want to do that. And then so I got a bass guitar. I played every day. I got then my brother had a drum kit. I remember there was this song. I was like, you play on the snare. I'll get my sister's guitar, because we all had an instrument that all ended up in my room. Yeah. He was like, okay. It's hitting away. But yeah, I did that, and then our first band was when we were 14. There was only a period of maybe a year or two that I didn't play when I left school to start working. But yeah, it's been forever to get to now. And I finally feel now I know who I am within it and what I sound like, and I can see all of the fears and the insecurities that have been laid on top of me to hold me back from ever achieving maybe what my full potential could be. And it takes a lifetime. And a lot of the things, I was talking to Shembra yesterday about it, and I listened to this guy, I can't remember his name, he's the lead singer of a band called At The Drive-In. I think this statement applies to fucking everything. and he said, he got asked, he's like, what advice would you give to a young musician that wants to be a better songwriter, a better performer? He's like, mow your fucking lawns. He's like, get your life in order.
Yeah.
He's like, if you do that,
Make your bed.
Like, do the simple things. He's like, and I, like, it hit me like a ton of bricks when I first heard it, because I can be so obsessive with things. Yeah. So obsessive, where it's just like, I will ignore everything around me and just hone in on this one thing, which is really beneficial at times. But there's this line that if I tip over the edge, the thing in front of me crumbles and everything else sets on fire. So I'm like, that's really beneficial, because it's like, all right, hone in when you have time to, or when you have that inspiration to, I just got excited because you were saying inspiration. Hone in when you've got that, but it's like, don't forget about the rest of your life.
Yeah.
You know, everything else has to, like, you can't sacrifice everything for or especially not the little things like just cleaning the house.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that kind of brings that focus back to, you can make all the money, but if you're not happy and don't feel fulfilled and connected and happy, successful, and don't have great relationships around you, then what's the fucking point?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it.
Yeah. Have all the human things.
Yeah. You
can
have
Yeah.
You can have the best job and get the most money, but if your relationship isn't going well and you don't feel good being at home, or you don't feel good in your own skin, what's the money going to do? And that's the thing. There was similar to your question of what would you do in the next 12 months or whatever it is. I was listening to the radio and something like, there's a $40 million tax lotto, you know, imagine if you won that. And I'm like, what would I do with all that? Like, of course I'd probably donate most of it, but what would change in my life? It's not going to change my relationship with my partner. Money won't change that. It's the time, the attention, the connection that we have. That's not from money. And for what we do, yeah, maybe it would boost what I could do on a bigger scale, but I would still be doing what I do right now.
Yeah. All the fundamentals would be the same.
Yeah. And this is where I think that perspective is changing amongst people our age, because we're like, hang on, we could save and invest and all that stuff, which is good. Do those things. But if you're still not living a life that's true to you, well, what are we doing? Are we living, or we're just passing time?
One of my favourite quotes is, and I remember saying to someone, they're like, fuck, you're morbid. I'm like, I'm not morbid. I'm actually a realist when it comes to this shit. But the quote is, don't die before you're dead.
Yeah.
Because how many people, I know so many people, I look at like older generations as well, that are dead on the inside. Yeah. Because they never actually stood up and did the thing that they wanted to do. They followed what was the norm and what, you know, their parents told them and what this. And it's like, I don't want to do that. I want to feel alive in every conversation I have. I want to feel alive when I help somebody, because I know those things give me a feeling money will never give me. Money's great. Yep, 100%. You need it. Obviously, you can do a lot with it. But those little things that money just cannot touch, because it will never give you that feeling of actually feeling alive. That's where I go, yeah, don't die before you're dead.
And that for me is do have. Be that energy. Be the person you want to be with all those feelings. Or do you want to be the being you want to feel is love for yourself, forgiveness for yourself, acceptance. Cool. From that, then do things that you're passionate about that align with that too. You'll naturally then do them. Eat well, connect with people, do things that you love, pursue things that mean a lot to you. The have is, you can get paid for that too. You will have these things externally that mean a lot to you as well. But if we're trying to live a life that's somebody else's version of success,
it's someone else's script. It's not what your soul signed up for.
Yeah.
Like, your soul's contract is one thing, and I think we just get so distracted by the comparison piece, by the people-pleasing piece, by all that we forget that the narrative that we're following is actually somebody else's script. Yeah. That either got placed in our laps, or we found it on the fucking floor, picked it up and was like, oh, this looks like it would be fun. Yeah. But then we start going through life and it's just like, oh shit, is it too late to rip up that script and start writing a new one? Absolutely not. It's not ever too late. Yeah. I don't believe that. I'm just somebody who's like, I will be 70 climbing mountains. And if I, like, going back to what you just said, the be do have, that is the reason why I wake up at 4:30 every single morning to go to the gym. Everybody asks me, like, how the fuck do you do that? I'm like, because I know my why. My why is to set myself up in my 20s and 30s that by the time I'm 70, I'm still physically capable of doing all the things that I am doing now. Yeah. It might be a bit more harder, obviously, age with physical, that deteriorates. But if I set myself up well enough, and I know I have, I'm going to be doing those things when I'm in my 50s, 60s, 70s. That's my why. That's why I wake up every single day now as a 27-year-old, go to the gym, so that I also have the time to do all the other things that bring me joy. That's not going to suit everybody, and that's okay. I'm not telling everybody, oh, for you to be, like, successful and, you know, work on yourself, wake up at 4 o'clock every morning like I do. Fucking don't do that if it doesn't serve you. Don't. I say it to so many people, I'm like, you're not going to do it, so why set yourself up to fail? Yeah. Do it when it's right for you. Wake up at a reasonable hour, set yourself up, and go after it.
And the only way we find those things is by asking those questions, those uncomfortable questions of what do you want. And for most people, they don't know.
Yeah.
And they've never sat with it to go, what life do I want to live? And then realize, like I did, oh, I'm just playing soccer because I want Dad's approval.
Yeah.
Or because I thought I wanted the life that David Beckham has, which, you know, some parts maybe, but what do I want? And that's where a lot of us need to sit and just ask those questions. And for a lot of us, that's uncomfortable. They don't want to do those things. But you're never going to get those answers unless you ask those questions. And then that's that dying before we get to
actually
dead.
Live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing I told my dad. I'm like, he's like, oh, what about your super? Like, are you putting money in there? I'm like, what if I don't make it to my super? Like, what's the point? Like, I need a lump. If I got, like, again, make it to that age and I have something in my super, I would then just give it to grandkids, kids, or whoever's around me, because, you know, I can do what I do right now and be self-sufficient. It's not comparing to someone else's amount in their account or whatever it is. I'm not waiting until then to do something with my life.
That's it. Like, I look at my parents all the time and they're like, we're working to, like, have all our super. I'm like, cool, you're going to be 64 and you fucking can't go anywhere because you're not looking after yourself now.
Yes.
What's the money going to do? You're not going to be able to go anywhere because you physically can't go anywhere now.
Yeah.
Why bust your ass doing shit you hate now to get to an age where you actually, like, life is going, well, now it's a little too late to, like, go skiing in the mountains because you don't have knees anymore. Because you didn't look after yourself when you were younger. Yeah. So, like, that mentality, I think, is just, again, setting up to fail, because it's like, you're going to get to a point where you've done all this stuff, you haven't really lived, you've just plodded along through life, which, you know what, some people might want that. Yeah. That's fine. To me, that's my worst nightmare. I do not want to plot through life and just get by like that, doing things that I don't want to do. Yeah. But then you hit this age, and it's like, cool, now you've come into all this money, and you've got like 10 years, maybe 20 years left to live. Which, again, you could start living then. It's never late. But it's just like, you're going to waste like 50 solid years doing something that is not what you want to do? Really? Really? If that's your truth, then great. But question it. That's it. Just question the fucking thing. Don't just roll with it because that's what you've been told to do.
Yeah. There was 2 instances that stand out for that. Is one, my sports psychologist at 19 after a car accident was like, what are you going to regret more at 40? Staying here with the girl that I was with at the time, getting married, because at 19 I was ready to do that. Doing that, getting to 40 and going, oh, you didn't pursue your soccer dream, you didn't give it a go, or going overseas and it working or not working. Because she said at the end of the day, you're going to find someone wherever you are. But what are you going to regret more? And I don't like that perspective in sense of being like, what are you going to regret more? But for me, it was like, I have to do this for me. Yeah. Like, I can't get to 40 and look back like everyone else I was surrounded with at that time going, I had potential and I didn't do it. I could have done this. No, I can sit there and go, I did it. Did it get to the point that I wanted it to? Probably not, but at least I did it. Yeah. And tried it and went, this actually isn't for me. Yeah. The second part is in grade 5, our teacher, I think it was a sub-teacher, made us write our eulogy. Pretty morbid for grade 5.
Fuck, that's
pretty
really
intense.
young to be doing that. That's awesome.
It was framed differently than eulogy, but it was like, what do you want people to say about you at your funeral? And I was like, it did have, because I was, grade 5, good soccer player, all of these things, but it was also a good son, a good partner, a good husband, a good father. Like I
still do that to 11-year-olds. I'm sorry.
But I treated all those things. I treated people. He was a nice guy. He inspired people.
Yeah.
He I can't remember the exact words. I really want to find it at home, but he lived life.
Yeah.
There was never he was a millionaire or he had all this money in his account. It was those common things that we all have. Be those
things that we just take sort of for granted, I guess. It's funny you said that, because that used to be the question I used to ask myself constantly when I went through my whole like depressive suicidal state, but it was like framed in a way where I was like, what would fucking people say?
Yeah, I remember.
That you're shit, you don't smile, you don't do this, you don't do that, blah, blah, blah. And the second my life turned around, randomly the question popped up in my head again, and I was like, what would you want people to say at your funeral? Who do you want to be? Who do you want to be remembered by? Which this whole year to live thing is all about. Like, you get to the end of the year, like, not so much what do you want people to say about you, but like, what do you want to say about the year that you've just lived?
Yeah, what do you want to look back on?
What do you, like, what do you want to, and I think that it's not morbid, because it's like, that's just you talking to the future version of yourself. Plant the seed now, like, this is who I want to work towards and be. So these are the choices that I have to make to become that person. I'm probably going to get it wrong sometimes, and that's okay, but I'm going to learn from it.
That's part of it.
Because life and life experiences has taught me that every time I've gone through something like this, I've always come out the other end a better version of myself.
Yeah. And don't give up too soon on that. Too.
No.
But I couldn't help but, like, this is going to sound so simple and like, but I think it's really important. Like how he kept saying about knowing your truth. Don't you, like, your truth was to go play soccer, and your truth was also to stop playing soccer to make another choice, to choose what that truth was at that time. It's like, I just get stuck thinking on this for myself, because I think it's like it changes every day.
Yeah.
And like in that fluidity of that change is like the trust in your truth to allow you to make as many turns as you possibly can. Well, not as many turns, but as many turns as you possibly need to.
Yeah. Yeah. It's when we say truth is one way, and that, again, like our purpose is going to shift, our truth is going to shift in those moments. I thought going for soccer was the thing I needed to do at the time. That was my truth.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be sitting here talking about it if I didn't do it.
You had to.
And that's the trust. Goes back to, I know that I'm, whether it's being guided, but your intuition is always guiding you back to alignment.
Yeah.
Even if you're in the worst spot, that's your truth.
Yes.
But then, again, the ultimate purpose of everyone is to have fun, be curious, and evolve. My next kind of niching it down for me was, how do I want to serve people and help people in doing that? Okay, I'm going to help them connect back into their heart. Okay, how do I want to do that? I could serve coffee. I could have a podcast. I could take photos. Whatever it is that means well to you. That's going to change.
Yes.
And then that's that knowing that you're in your... Best quote I heard the other day, and it was from Steve, and we were sitting in the woods, barefoot, doing a lot of Steve stuff, right? Throwing sticks and a bit of manual, right? He said, the healer will tell you all the things that you need to heal. The mentor will show you how to heal yourself, like the processes, and the mystic will tell you that you're already healed.
Yeah.
You are living your truth. You just need to keep following and trusting that. Yes, evolve and grow, but know that you're exactly where you're supposed to be right now. Whether you're 30, whether you're 19, whether you're 60. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. Why? Because you are.
That's it.
God, it's like so hard to understand that behind the murkiness sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah.
I remember I was talking to Stacey one day, and we were talking about...
That's his kinesiologist.
I hadn't mentioned her in this podcast, so Stacey, how you doing? And we were talking about like that clarity, and I was like, I've never felt this clarity before, but I'm like, then it's gone. And it's like so fucking, like it's spoken about in yoga constantly, like the metaphor of the clear open sky. We always use it in thoughts. in thoughts. Everyone's heard of meditation. You know, the clouds come in, the storm comes in, there's always the clear blue sky afterwards. But I just never applied it to the way that I was true, like in situation with the way that I was truly feeling.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? When it gets really fucking murky and you're like, it doesn't feel like a storm.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's like nonsense. But it's like knowing what the truth behind that feels like.
And you said it before, it's just the trust.
Yeah, the trust, right?
I had to go through it. I had to practice what I preach.
Mm.
It was fucking tough.
Mm.
And I'm sitting there going, oh, why do I have to go through this? I'm supposed to be supporting other people. But in that is like, you got to trust you're exactly where you're supposed to be. And as we've spoken a lot about it, it was exactly what needed to happen for me to go to that next level.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't expect it, didn't want it to happen, but unfortunately the universe is going to have different plans for you. And it's going to either give you little signs, or it's going to smack you in the face and be like, hey, it's either going to happen through a breakup, a breakdown, something that's really, really going to affect you, but that's okay. I trusted throughout that whole process that it was going to be okay and that I was going to get through it. As hard as it was, this is happening and it's exactly where I'm supposed to be right now. Because if I'm trying to be somewhere else, I'm not present.
No.
And that's where, if I'm thinking in the future, I'm anxious. I'm thinking in the past, I'm bringing up those depressive thoughts. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. Stop trying to change right now.
Yes.
And I think that's where, what we said before, like, life and the universe will test and retest you.
Yeah.
Cool, you say you trust yourself? Let's really test that.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like I've been going through for the past, like, fucking year.
Yeah.
But I'm sitting here, and I said to you the other day, like, I just sit here now and I watch my life as if it's a movie. I see these patterns and things happening. I'm like, that feeling of being in a situation like this is there. But the situation's different. It's completely dressed up in this way I've never seen it before. But I'm still really grounded within myself because I trust myself to know you'll move through this because you have in the past. And every time you move through it in the past, you came out better. So just trust that. Trust that feeling right now because it's going to get better. And if it doesn't, then that was that second test where life was like, you said you were going to do this one thing and you didn't. The time after that, it's going to be better again.
Yeah.
So it's this really nice place when you find yourself like just, like literally becoming the observer, but an active observer. So not observing where you're just standing back being like, oh, fuck it, whatever. But it's like, no, I can see what's playing out and happening here. It's cool. Like, I'm sweet. But I just got to move through it or let it move through me.
Yeah.
I can't go around it. I can't go over it. It has to move through me. And once it's moved through me, I'm going to understand why. Because I'm aware and I'm conscious of what's actually happening.
Yeah.
And it's not, in my eyes, it's not a bad thing. It's just, it is what it is. Hence why I have that tattooed on me.
Yeah. You're aware, conscious, and present. Like, if we're going through a tough moment, it's like, take that deep breath. Let's all do it. We're exactly where we're supposed to be right now.
Yeah.
And doesn't that feel better than sitting here going, fuck, I'm not where I'm supposed to be, or what's gonna happen tomorrow? You're exactly where you're supposed to be. Trust that it'll work out. And it goes back to the old Delphic oracle of know thyself, love thyself, be thyself.
Yeah.
Know who you are. That's your truth. Love whatever version you're at right now, especially the past versions, because that's what's brought you to where you are. And then just be who you are. Be more you.
That's it.
And then be, do, have. Like,
Yeah.
they all kind of line
They
into
all
each
do.
other.
That's
it's all a
it.
big crossword puzzle of Scrabble of like...
It's just a spider web. That's all it
is.
is. You
It
break
is.
that, like, everything funnels into where you are right now, which is at the center of you. Like, it's just you. It's who you've always known yourself to be. Always. That doesn't shift. I think at the core, we always know who we are. Like, I really don't believe it from the day you're born. Like, you know your purpose. You know your why. It's just, it gets so clouded because of everything else that gets infiltrated on you. But if you are able to remove those layers and just clear the space, because those outliers will probably always be there to test you and to trigger you and to push you. But if you just have that space around that center of who you are, you're always going to have the clarity and the space to be like, no, that's not true to me. Or, that's true to me. I'll move forward and progress there.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Guys, it's that easy. What do you know? I'm kidding. Absolutely not easy at all. Yeah. That was that was like a solid conversation. Aren't you glad that I didn't give you like some sort of theme?
I always say to my clients, it's like I intuitively wing it. Like,
yeah.
If someone wants to do one-on-one work with me, they go, what are we going to cover? What's week 1? What's week 2? I go, well, no. Whatever you bring up is what we need to work through.
That's it.
Right there. Yes, there's foundational stuff, but your life is going to shift and change every week. I don't have the map for you. What you bring up is exactly what needs to come up right now. And if I can help you get back to that truth, connect back into your heart, trust yourself, you'll make the right decisions.
Yeah.
And then you'll find those things that you want to do. Then it's just a process of, okay, what's the mindset things? What's the okay, is there some structure that we can bring into place? What are we neglecting here? What can we work through to stay along that path of truth and direction of what you want to do?
Yeah.
It starts with the being.
Be do have.
Be do have.
Be do have.
No love be. Be do have.
I love it. Well, I mean, is there anything else you want to ask or add?
No, I kept thinking, just kept popping in my head. How cool are group meditations?
Love it.
What feeling? Like, I did my first one. I don't do them anymore, but it was with Cotton On for a little bit. I remember just being in a room, like, it's just like that with yoga at the start of the class. Like, you could just, everything just shifts. But I was just really interested. How do you feel in the middle of them? Like, it's a pretty fucking good feeling, isn't it?
I love it. Like, at the start, obviously very nervous and like, is anyone going to take to this? Is my voice annoying? Are they going to fall asleep? Are they going to cry? I don't know. Now it's like, I know that everyone's going to have a different process, just like with the ice and the breath work and all of that. But for me, it's like, I don't pre-plan, like, especially like these and podcasts and stuff. I just know that what's supposed to come through will. Yeah. And in those meditations, I just feel I feel I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be.
Present.
And that's when people have whatever journey. Again, no expectation.
Yeah.
Some people do fall asleep. And I go, is that because I'm boring? And they go, no. It's because your soothing voice and they need the rest.
Yes.
Some people are breaking down crying and I go, oh, okay, like, did I offend you? And they're like, no, I had an emotional release. And I go, awesome. But again, it's like that feeling of like, I love doing it. It feels to hold space for people in that way, especially a room or a crowd. It's, for me, it's I know it's where I'm supposed to be.
Everything shifts, doesn't it, with a big group of people?
Yeah.
It's a pretty incredible feeling. I've been doing sound bath meditations.
Yeah.
It's like sleeping every class. I love it. So I'm like, have a rest. And the lady was snoring. I was going to say no.
Yeah, don't do that. That's just...
She laughed at me afterwards. She's like, Stefan, I think I had a nap. I'm like, you definitely had a nap, and I loved it.
And that's that, like you said before, like, how can you be, like, how can people still be calm in the moment, even when someone's snoring next to them?
Yeah.
Even when shit's going on around them. And, like, I love that as well. Meditating's not sitting in a quiet, soundproof room levitating. No. It's, can you sit out on the highway? No, don't sit on the highway. Can you be near the highway and all this noise happening and find peace within yourself? So even if you're going through the shit, find peace, find trust, be you.
That's it. Be more you, guys. Just be more you. Well, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
I really appreciate you, and I just love what you're doing, and I know that whatever the hell life throws at you next and whatever you step into next, it's just going to be incredible because you're incredible. So, yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate both of you and the impact you both have had in my life in a short amount of time, but also a long amount of time. And I love the message. I love the energy. I love everything.
Thanks, Carlo.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Well, guys, thanks for listening and watching and tuning in, and we'll see you back here next week.
Peace.